Nice, we're back. LAIDOUT show, the North's biggest boxing show. We'd like to shout out our sponsors: Firefight, number1plates.com, Remedy Clothing and Dynamitized Supplements. This week, first guest, special guest, we got Bob Ajisafe. Bob, how are you?
Right. Yeah, good, thanks.
Man, do you want to give the guys a quick intro?
For those who may not know, Bob Lionheart, Ajisafe, former English, British, Commonwealth champion. Won the Max Nutrition Knockout tournament as well a few years ago and fought for World Championship as well.
Nice man, nice. So, do you want to break us down where you're at kind of now in your career, like with your last fight?
Right now, my last fight, that was in the Golden Contract, took place like December last year. I had to take a loss there in that fight actually, but it was, I don't know, it's a tough one. It was a tough one because that was going to be probably the pinnacle of my career, going into Golden Contract. Like 8 fighters selected from around the world, decent fighters. And then obviously the Golden Contract to the end is where you get, I think it's a five fight deal with Top Rank, and it's like 6-figure purses in each fight. So nice. It's a massive like stake.
I didn't realise it was that big.
Yeah,
nice.
High stake. Yeah, man, it's high stakes that. So, and I thought I didn't take my eye off the ball. I trained well. I trained like an 8-week camp. I was fit. I was doing well in sparring. I was punching everyone up in sparring, but I don't know. I got around to near the fight, and I just didn't feel the same. I had a bit of a shoulder injury. I think it was like a bursa injury. It was like inflammation in my shoulder, and I couldn't throw my left hand. It was aching. I had to get physio the day before the fight, and then I had a few like personal things going on as well, personal issues which kind of like affected me, I think, mentally. And not taking nothing away from Mofi. I would say he's a good fighter. He's tall and rangy, and he used that to his advantage. He's taller than me, and I'm not used to fighting fighters that are probably smaller than me. I've got a longer reach, but he was taller than me, and he was like 6'4" or something. And he caught me in the first round with just a flash knockdown. Really, he just came out through a right hand. It was just that first, literally the first. I've never ever been caught like that before, because I'm quite a slow starter, but I worked my way into a fight, and he came out, throwing right hands, and he caught me, just off guard, and it was flash knockdown. It didn't buzz me or anything. I was straight back up. But after that, finding my way back into the fight, I knew I was behind. I knew I was down, and I had to keep pushing the fight, and he just kept backing off and winning, and I had to force the fight. It was me on my counter puncher, my natural counter puncher. Yeah. So I'd prefer a fighter to come on to me so I can make a miss and then make him pay, kind of thing. But he knew that, so he just still clear, you know what I mean? And just used his range and his height, which was, was a good tactic. He's got Joe Gallagher in his corner, who's a world-class trainer. Do you know what I mean? And he's had me down in his gym before, sparring Callum Smith and stuff like that, so he knew my style already. So yeah, it's just one of them, man. It is what it is. But going on from that now, well, obviously it's been slow since the lockdown. There's no boxing and everything. It's just starting to resurface now, boxing, obviously behind the closed doors and no fans or anything, but we're looking to probably be out before the end of the year or January, so I'm just ticking over now, just staying fit, and then we'll come back, maybe have one tune up, and then look at the substantial fight again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you think it'll be like to fight behind closed doors?
From what I've seen of it, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a good thing or a bad thing, really. I mean, there's no distractions for the fighter then. There's no fans or no, but I don't know if that can get you up for it the same sort of way. I mean, obviously you're going to go in there and fight and do your thing. I've seen it, I've watched a few of the shows. A lot of them are taking place in Wakefield, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's a studio there. I've watched quite a few. I watched the Hennessy show the other week.
It's a strange thing though, because I don't think you realise until you've been in front of a crowd, even if it's as an amateur or as a pro, just how much having that crowd there affects you psychologically.
This is
I mean, when you do anything in a quiet room, it's just psychologically, there's an effect there. It's weird.
It is.
It doesn't quite. Especially if you're going to like a really, really big fight, like with the Whyte Povetkin from last week. Yeah. You're going to this massive fight. It's potential life changing for both of them. There's no cheers, there's no crowd, there's no ring walk, there's no big entrance. So it probably wouldn't feel as special as it normally would when it's going into a big arena. Yeah. I can imagine that must affect them psychologically.
Yeah, I think so, definitely, because the crowd does have an impact on you. Because even in your peripheral or everywhere, it has an impact on you. You feel around you, people shouting, you see people watching you moves, your shots, your boxing. You know what I mean? If there's no one there, it's like you're not playing to anyone, then kind of thing. You know what I mean? I can't imagine it until I've actually performed it myself, but yeah.
Do you know that'll be interesting? So I guess your next fight probably will be
potentially. I mean, if it's going how it's going at the moment, well, while this COVID and everything, who knows? I mean, everything's really slow, and it's not going to take off, you know, fully fledged, I don't think, until, you know, at least next year we're going to see some, you know, movement. But I can't forecast that. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? So, but then let's say forget about COVID. What's the plan? What's the next step? What's the next fight? What's the goals?
What's my goals?
Well,
I mean, I couldn't tell you. You know, I couldn't tell you pinpoint. Well, what's my next fight, or you know, who it may be against. But like I say, it's just going to be like I'm just going to get choose. I have to get a win first. I'll come back off a win. And then we'll look at, you know, something bigger, you know, whether it be like a European or world level, you know, fringe contender sort of fight. It'll be on about there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I'm 35 now. But yeah, so I think I've still got, you know, 2, 3. Still there. Yeah, I've still got a bit left in me. You know, I've still got, you know, because I'm obviously my style as well. I don't really take a lot of punishment, I don't really get hit a lot, and so my sort of style can, you know, prolong a little bit longer, but I'm not going to be boxing forever. Yeah. I've had a long career, I'm proud of my accomplishments up to date, I'm proud of what I've accomplished, so you know, I'm happy what I've done, so I'll have maybe 2, 3, 4 fights, you know, maximum, maybe 2 or 3, you know what I mean, and that'll be it. I'll call it a day, because I'm not going to be, you know, staying on forever. You've got a new crop of fighters coming through now, you know, and that's just how it goes, you know what I mean? I'm not going to
It's a young man's sport.
It's a young man's sport. I'm not going to hang around forever. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to overstay, you know, work. I just want to do what I do, and then, you know, that's how, like I say, with the Golden Contract thing, that would have been, you know, that would have been the piece on the cake kind of thing, but didn't play out like that, so...
Like, coming on the back of the Golden Contract, and how do you find yourself affected mentally, you know, when you walk back to the dressing room when you've got that L and you wake up the next morning and it hasn't played out the way you thought, is it? And like, are you straight back in? Are you straight dust yourself down? Or was there like a brief period of kind of...
No, that was it. I'm being honest with you, that taking an L like that, and loss like that, it's hard mentally. It took a lot out of me. It was hard to, you know, to just get myself back, you know, on a normal, like, even keel. It was always there. It was always niggling me. I thought, oh, I've got a massive opportunity, and I thought, you know, I'd easily go through to semis. I thought, whether I'll fight, I'll beat him. I was confident, and yeah, it does take a lot out of you, because I haven't lost for a while, but I haven't lost for a while, so it's...
Like with you, how does that manifest itself then? So do you get to a point where you start questioning, have I still got it? Is this it? Am I going to quit it in? Do you go through like a brief period of depression? Or is that what it feels like?
All that I went through a lot after that fight. I don't think it took a lot out of me mentally. It knocked me back a bit. It knocked me back, and it was like, you know, where do I go from here? I had all my eggs in one basket. I thought, right, I'm going to pursue. I left my job, you know, to concentrate on my boxing, and I thought, well, you know, I'm gonna pursue this, and so after all that, it's just like, well, you're back to square one. It's like, where do I go from here? I'm fighting for my career kind of thing, because already at that level anyway. Yeah. You know, I didn't have a lot of, you know, I've got loads of time left. I haven't got a lot of time to go back and rebuild. Say if you're fighting at the beginning of the career, say like Mike Hennessy Jr., he took a loss the other week on, you know, he's the only young lad, he can come
it's
again.
not the end of the world.
He can, you know what I mean, go back to him. Sometimes it's a good thing, because you've got to, all good fighters are going to lose at some point, and it makes you go in there, readjust, and, you know, reevaluate things, and you've got to make adjustments. But for me, I didn't really have the time to do that, so we were like, for me, my management was saying, right, no, you know, no, don't leave no stone unturned, you know, don't leave everything in the ring, just, you know what I mean, give it all you've got, because, you know, we've struggled even to get the work, you know, the past few years. So we knew having something like this, being included in something like this, we knew it's, you know, it's gonna propel us where we want to be.
So on the back of that, you're kind of able to sort of decompartmentalize the loss, put it down to whatever you think it was down to, and say, right, that's where that is. I'm going to put that in a box now, and then just find a way to keep moving forward.
I've done that now, but it took a long time to do that. Yeah. It was a long process. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a long process. It was 6 months or so. I took a bit of time out of boxing, even over the lockdown and everything. I'd lost interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I lost interest. I didn't want to box. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to. Do you know what I mean? I went through a lot of different stages. But now I'm alright now. You know, I've recovered from that. I'm back now. I'm alright. But yeah, it does affect you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the weird thing, especially in boxing as well, because a loss is so detrimental career-wise in boxing, in a way that it's not in, say, MMA, for instance.
It is. Well, at championship level, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It can literally derail your entire career, which is strange when you think about it.
Unbeaten hype now. everyone's like, oh, if you take one loss, that's it.
Which makes no sense.
Fit like
no, makes no sense.
Not necessarily, exactly.
People
not
freak out
necessarily.
about
It's
winning.
not about that. It's not, but it's how you respond as well, like you say, mentally, and whereabouts you are. You know what I mean? If you can come back and.
Remember when David Hare lost to Carl Thompson, who was expected to blow him out, and everyone said, well, his career done. He's like, 11 fights. He was 24 and then came back to dominate. It's a bizarre thing in boxing. It's a
I think that taught him a big lesson, because Hay was going there thinking, I'm going to, knock this guy out and swinging everything at him, and you think, hang on, this guy can't win. He's got, you know what I mean, more knowledge here.
It took him out.
Yeah, it took him out, and he knocked him out.
I think that's the bizarre thing, I think, as well, because you get, especially in fighting, it's a weird sport, because you've got to, on the one hand, you've got to absolutely think that you're a god and you're going to blast through everybody that's there. But then we're all human, so you know what your feelings are. So you've got to find this middle line between absolutely believing you're going to win and dominate, but also knowing that you're kind of vulnerable in these areas. And so you get someone like David Hare, for instance, who's hyped up that much, and all of a sudden he's knocked out in front of 30,000 people. It's like, I thought I was Zeus, and it turns out that I'm not, and you've got to have that humility to be able to go back inside and then come again.
That's true. Anyone can get clipped.
Yeah.
Anyone can get clipped. There's always fighters out there that are going to be better. It depends, levels you go through, and like you say, so when you step up through levels and say, you fighters on world level, they're a different level to, say British or, European or whatever. So, do you know what I mean? That's how it goes.
So when you lose, I'm banging on about this, I was fascinated with this one thing. Do you think you lose? Are you able to separate it and say, I've lost as an athlete, as a fighter, and that's what I do, but it's separate to who I am as an individual? Or does it kind of affect you, like, as a man? So I remember when I had one of my amateur fights, and I was only like 16, but I hyped it up all around, and it was like, it was the start of the ABAs, all my friends were there, and I got knocked out in the first round. And I remember, I wasn't bothered about not progressing the ABAs, it didn't concern me at all. It was the embarrassment. Like that embarrassment and that almost being like demasculated in front of people. And I realised it's quite a big thing that. And I wonder, and then you look at, in the pro level, you look at people like Nazim Hamid, who as soon as he got beat, and he got beat royally by Barrera, as soon as he took that, it wasn't invincible, it was never the same, he never came back. And I think that's because that affected him as a human being, not just as an athlete. Do you know what I mean?
It depends on the loss.
That's exactly, that can be a big thing. I mean, I've never been knocked out or stopped ever in my whole career, so I don't know what that's like, but it happens a lot. I'm just saying that, but I don't know what that feels like, personally what that feels like, so I couldn't touch on that, but I know it happens regularly, and that's the way it goes. Fighters get stopped. It's the nature of the beast. That's the sport we're in. So, it's.
Does it affect you personally? Do you feel like as a man, does it affect you personally? Or are you able to say that's athlete Bob, this is person Bob, the two separate beings?
My last fight did, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. My last fight did it took a lot. It took a lot from me. It took a lot out of me. But I think it's just because of all the stakes.
Yeah, of course.
Just everything was, everything was on the table.
Yeah.
But
you learned probably the most from that experience, I would imagine.
Yeah, I will. I mean, I'd love to relish a rematch. I still think I'm a better fighter. I still think I should have won, and I should have performed better. And I blame myself, but things that going on in the background, I probably I think should have trained. But I was performing well. I was fit. I trained hard at 8 weeks of sparring. I was beating everyone up in sparring. But just because if you have a smooth training camp doesn't necessarily mean a smooth fight.
No.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes it just doesn't come together on the night, does it? Despite the best prep. Yeah, it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of things as well. Mentally, what was going on in the background, but yeah, man, it's like you say. Sometimes you have to mentalize them things and focus on, the soul. Yeah. The soul objective.
Good one.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's actually a perfect segue to the next part of the show. So we would talk about some bits and pieces that have gone on in boxing recently, right? Or going to happen in boxing. So first one is obviously it's probably the most talked about thing that's happened recently is Dillian Whyte, Povetkin. Do you want to? Who wants to start? It was obviously a freak. People make out it was like a freak knockout, but then if you talk to people in boxing, it's like no, Povetkin set him up for that shot for rounds and rounds and rounds, working his body. How did you see it pan out?
I mean it was a pretty clinical knockout. To be fair, I mean from what I seen of it, it was a clinical knockout. It was a good shot, and he was gone. He was out before he even hit the canvas. He was out, but he was boxing well up until that point. But his vulnerabilities, and from what I seen from Povetkin saying, I seen him do certain things. He was open for an uppercut and things like that, and. I think Dillian Whyte's a good fighter and he looked in good shape and everything. I rate him, but that's how it is. Heavyweight boxing as well. It only takes one shot. heavyweight boxing only takes one shot, and Povetkin's a world-class fighter. Let's not forget, so.
That's people do forget. Like the people talk about Povetkin as if he's this kind of the gatekeeper for these guys. It's not. People forget that he won almost every round against Joshua before Joshua bought the heat in the end. He was on top in that fight. He won almost every round for the first 5 or 6 rounds. Do you know what I mean? It was Joshua's power that got him out of trouble. Yeah. And with the thing with Povetkin, Whyte can keep coming, but Povetkin's one of those guys like GGG. He can stand there all day long and take it.
He did. He was.
In fact, Joshua's the only guy that stopped him, isn't he? I think so. Yeah. He can stand in front of a big, strong heavyweight for 10 rounds and be absolutely fine.
All day. He's very, very well schooled, isn't he? Very well schooled. And people say to me, I never spoke to heavyweight boxers, I shouldn't have put him in with this guy who's been Olympic champion and X amount of fights and da. But the day it's heavyweight boxing, you want to test yourself against the best. And Dillian Whyte's come in, he's had the backing and he wants to test himself against the best fighters. He performed really well against the Colombian Canadian. What's he called now? Not Alvarez.
Rivas.
Rivas. You know what I mean? That was for me. That was a really, really good.
And people forget that was a pick'em fight as well. He wasn't the favourite for that. It was a 50-50 fight. Rivas was the real deal. Yeah.
Real deal, solid fight, and that was a really close fight. And he impressed me there. And I thought, well, yeah, we won from that, but. He's got the rematch. He's got the rematch happening on him. I don't know whether it's too soon or personally, I think it's a little bit too soon for me.
I admire him. I think from like a pure business perspective, like being safe is probably too soon. But I admire the fact that he's like bring it on
straight back in.
Yeah. Now that's what Dillian Whyte's underrated for. His mental toughness is second to none. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's a street guy.
Yeah,
he's a street guy.
Yeah.
He's like, let's get straight back. I admire that.
That's true, yeah.
And as well, because he's so crude, you forget he's probably the most improved British boxer of the last 4 or 5 years.
Once he lost,
he's gone up levels. He's just gone up every fight. He's gone up levels and levels and levels.
Considering he hasn't really had much of an amateur background.
No, none. He was boxing, beat Parker. Fought guys that have been to the Olympics. Like it's a pretty sensational, ride that Whyte's been on. I think he beats Povetkin in the rematch.
Yeah.
I don't think about the same mistake twice.
No, I would say the same.
I go with that. Yeah.
Probably goes the distance. Probably don't stop him.
I agree. I don't think he will. He won't get caught out again.
No.
He'll just be a bit more cautious. But yeah. Do you know what? That's it. Dillian Whyte that's what is the best thing about him is that he just takes hard fight. He doesn't skip anyone. You can't say he ducks.
No, he doesn't. He don't duck anyone. He's he's taking all comers in that you say.
But the real question for Whyte is, let's say he beats Povetkin, which we all think that he will, and then he's going to get a heavyweight title fight. Who does he beat? Does he beat a Fury? No. Does he beat an AJ?
No.
Who's he beating?
Well, he can beat Wilder, but you can't take one punch from Wilder.
I think he's made for Wilder.
Do you think?
Because Wilder
gets hit so much.
He does, but Wilder's a freak because like most heavyweights, they have power in the pocket. Yeah. Like Tyson and Whyte have got to be close to have that power. Wilder's got power from distance, which is rare. Not many people. Oscar De La Hoya have the same thing. He's got power from distance. So Whyte's got to come into him. So I think he's made for Wilder, but I think he beats AJ, and I think Fury would toy with him. He doesn't want any part of Fury.
No one.
Yeah, I think Fury's a superior boxer, isn't he?
By far.
Yeah.
I think he beats everybody.
Do you know? I was going to ask you a different question, but now I'm going to change it because it's a bit more interesting. So, AJ Fury.
Well, that's a really good question. This is
why? Don't just give us a name and then scoot off.
This is what I mean, man. I think Fury's got the superior boxing skills. From what I've seen as a boxer, his footwork's, his footwork's nice. It's supreme, and he boxes on the back foot well. Whereas I think AJ's probably more powerful, and if AJ lands, detonates on him, but can he detonate? From what I've seen, he can be a little bit not sluggish, but just a little bit robotic with his movement and stuff. He's a bit stiff. He's not as fluent. The fluidity isn't there. What I'd like to see, like most heavyweights, you know what I mean? When say you go back and you look at fighters that fighting at heavyweight, Michael Moore, the fluidity was there, and Tyson's got that. So from a boxing perspective, I think Tyson can outbox him. You know what I mean? And probably get the win.
I think Fury wins that fight.
Yeah.
I think he wins it easy. I think he shuts him out completely.
He could probably stop him.
I think he shuts it out completely. I don't think Joshua will get anywhere near him. I think Wilder was a more difficult fight for Fury than Joshua would.
Really?
Yeah. Joshua takes more punches than people realise. He's very good at the fundamentals, but Povetkin hit him at will. Wilder caught him 4 or 5 years ago. He takes a lot of shots. And you've got to think that because of the way Joshua fights, he's constantly on the front foot. He can't fight going backwards.
No.
If you look what Fury did to Wilder, as soon as Fury got on the front foot, Wilder was lost. It would be the same with Joshua. I think Josh will be competitive, but I can see Joshua, I think he'll get broken down.
Yeah.
And after 5 or 6 rounds, I think Joshua psychologically will get broken down. You saw that in the Ruiz fight, that maybe there was a little glimpse that he can be psychologically vulnerable. And I think Fury's just so dominant in every area. Like you say, it's heavyweight boxing, so one punch changes all of it. But if I was a betting man, I'd put my house on Fury in that fight.
Yeah. To be fair, when AJ fought Klitschko, he was there to be put away. Like Klitschko let him off.
Klitschko's right at the end of his career.
He got buzzed a few times, didn't he? But then he came back and rallied, and caught Klitschko himself. But like you say, he's been caught numerous times in other fights. I've seen him.
But what he's done is amazing. I mean, he didn't start till he was 19.
AJ.
And and then went to Olympics, which I'm
Just what I'm saying.
Fury, I think.
Scolded.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be until Fury retires that people look back and realise just how special Fury is.
I was just
Obviously coming back from what he's come back from as well.
Yeah.
Bounced back from what he's come back from.
Yeah.
That's where I took back to him.
Yeah,
He's come
yeah.
back from obviously the brink.
That's unreal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being at the the depths of despair really, and then to come back.
I was gonna say if Fury beats, so he beats Wilder in a rematch, he beats AJ, is he like greatest heavyweight of all time?
No.
I wouldn't say he's the GOAT.
It must be top 3 though. It must be up there.
You've got Ali,
Depends what
you've
you
got
such a.
Tyson,
It depends what you're judging it on.
Yeah.
So like,
People will argue it though. He's got a case then.
Larry Holmes.
well, there's people that put Tyson down because of the level
There's a
of
lot.
opposition. So that, do you see what I mean? Because Tyson, despite
In this era, he's one of the best in this
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
With
Like would he have dealt with like Lennox Lewis or Tyson?
that'd have been a fascinating fight, Lewis against Fury. You got 2 big guys, both 6'6", 6'7". You're both boxing very similar ways.
Yeah.
That'd have been an
Lennox
amazing fight.
had an awesome jab as well. He's one of the best for me, one of the best British fighters, Lennox Lewis.
Yeah,
Jab,
again,
jab,
underrated
jab.
because it wasn't like exciting to watch, but everything he did was just to perfection.
Yeah.
But it's the level of opposition as well. And Fury, sometimes great fighters get overlooked because they happen to be born into an era where the opposition's not that great. And the heavyweight division for the last 50 years has not been that great. The Fury's a standout. So when you compare them against figures, greatest heavyweight of all time for me is Tyson. I think a peak 1986, 1987 Tyson beats everybody. Everybody. Nobody could live with him. Ali, Fury, no one could live with that man at his peak. Nobody.
No, different animal.
But unfortunately for him, he was born in an era where it was particularly weak for heavyweight, so it's, it's that Adol's argument, isn't it? But for me, Tyson beats any heavyweight ever.
Yeah. All right. Do you know what? I was going to ask a different question, but since you're talking about Tyson,
Switch the questions.
I can switch yours.
Only these curveballs.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can do what I want. So basically, you're chatting about Tyson. So, what do you make of the Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight?
I was talking about this earlier on actually. Today I was someone asked me about it, and is it a fight or is it an exhibition?
I just can't see.
No,
if you
it's
put
real.
them both in a
They're
ring,
doing it
like,
real.
they won't just want to. They won't just want to win.
No, it's not an exhibition. Who sanctioned it? Which athletic body sanctioned it? It's not Nevada. They wouldn't sanction it. But it's nobody. It's sanctioned. It's a fight. It's a real fight. It's not an exhibition.
Yeah,
I think it's 6 rounds though. It's only 6 rounds.
It's only 6 rounder.
Yeah.
There you go. That's changed perspective for me. Roy Jones Jr. obviously in his prime was one. You couldn't touch him, could you? He was one of the best to ever do it. But he's declined a lot, and he's nowhere near his prime. And he shouldn't have got beat by fighters. He shouldn't be getting beat by. He hung on for too long. I mean, he's getting beat by fighters like that when that's Roy Jones Jr. You know what I mean? He's got a legacy there.
Yeah, McIlroy should never been able to lace his boots.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That should have never touched him, and I think he's tarnishing his legacy for me. So, and then again, Mike Tyson, he's been out of the ring for a long time. I've seen what he's been doing out of the ring. He's doing all this and the other, and I think I've seen him train. He's got himself back in good shape and everything. Obviously, he's got the power. Roy Jones got the skill.
Yeah.
So pick one.
For me, that's Tyson all day long.
Do you think? Do you know what? It was I was chatting to Jules about it, and he was saying like,
How long?
I'm worried that Roy will get hurt.
I think Roy will get hurt because Tyson's still got that aggression and that level of anger and like inner rage that you just can't teach. That just comes from just being a guy that's been brought up in dark places. And like you said, Bob, Jones's last pro fight was only 5 years ago, 4 or 5. He was fighting well into his late 40s, and his decline was so unbelievably rapid. So the last thing to leave any fight was the power. You can be out of shape, you can be fat, you can be unfit. Your power's still there. Tyson's power was phenomenal. All of Jones's abilities that made him one of the greatest of all time, they've gone now. Reflex is gone, speed gone, hand-eye coordination gone, and let's not forget that Tyson's got at least a stone and a half on him. For me, there's no way that Jones can win that fight now.
He's a bigger guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Tyson's a lot bigger guy, and he's heavyweight. Like I said, he's got that heavyweight power, like you say. Yeah, and he's susceptible to get caught, Roy
Yeah.
Jones.
But that side, is it good or bad for boxing? That you've got two greats that are coming back in their 50s. Is it a freak show? Is it a legitimate fight?
That's what I mean. And now you tell him it's a 6 rounder. Two like championship fighters fighting a 6 rounder. What's that about?
Yeah.
You know, so it's, I don't know.
Is it good or bad for boxing, do you think, for boxing's image?
I think it's bad for boxing's image. I don't think they should be letting. The greats have made the name. You know what I mean? They're both icons in the sport, both legends in their own right. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think at this stage on, I mean, they're well put into father time, aren't they? Tyson's in his 50s or
55,
whatever.
55 and Jones 51.
When's the last time Mike Tyson got in a boxing ring?
Yeah, competitive.
Over 15 years.
He was
maybe?
30. Who was it? He was 37, 38 his last fight.
And even then
Then he was going down.
he was declining as well.
It was against the Irish guy. What was the Irish guy called?
And he got
Big
beaten.
useless Irish guy.
Exactly. That's what he's saying.
He wouldn't even have been Tyson's sparring partner back
Danny
in the day.
Danny Williams beat him.
Well, Danny Williams beat him. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What do you think, Jim? Do you think it's good or bad for boxing?
It's bad for boxing, but I still watch it.
Yeah.
So is it bad? You know what I mean?
Well,
That's the
if
thing,
it
like,
captivates, you know what I'm saying? It's
If they
supply,
give
supply
the-
and demand, isn't it?
Yeah.
It captivates the fans, you know.
I think it's how they use that
see.
undercard. If they use the undercard for good reasons or to promote good fighters, and it's good.
Yeah.
You got to have that balance, right?
Yeah, true.
All right, so this is the fun part. So it's the last part of the show. I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
These are the ones you know about. I'm not going to change these.
Okay.
So the first one is your top 3 pound for pound fighters
Right.
of all time.
Oh, of all time.
Of all time. Yeah.
Right, no.
That's a bigger question. You
Changing it again now, of all time.
Yeah.
Well, the best fighter, Sugar Ray Robinson. After that, I'm going to go with Ali. And who else is in there for me? These are what I call the greats, though. I'm going to go with Sugar Ray Leonard as well.
Yeah.
classic. It's a strong top 3.
Yeah, it is strong. It is strong. All right, next question is hardest ever spar.
Hardest ever spar. I've sparred some solid fighters all around the world. I'd probably say the hardest spar is probably Artur Beterbiev for the hardest spar. Maris Bradis was a hard spar as well, but I'm going to go with Beterbiev.
Why? How come?
He's a machine.
Well, yeah. Tenacity, because the fact is you've got to concentrate for every second of every round. You've got to concentrate every second. You cannot not concentrate. You can't lapse concentration. You lapse concentration for 2 seconds, bam, he's on you. He's gonna hit you. He's gonna hit you hard. You know what I mean? His ring intelligence is, you know what I mean? It's very, very high. You know what I mean? His ring IQ, so you can't lapse concentration. Normal fighters, you can take a round off or half 30 seconds or get a big. You can't do that. Not even in sparring, because he's just, you know what I mean? He's just relentless.
What are those spars like? You know, when you're sparring like a world-class guy like that, did their camp give you instructions about how they want you to work him over?
At times.
The level of intensity they want you to spar at? Or is it just no holds barred?
Maybe once, I think the first time I went there. I've been there a few times, been there 2-3 times, I'm not sure. They'll, like, Matt Ramsey will come in and say, right, you'll even tell very well, this is a different style, this is how you have to box like this. But after that, once you've sparred once, there for about 3 weeks, he's sparring 3 times a week. So after the first spar, I'll say, right, what to do this or that, probably bring me in for a specific opponent, because obviously I'm a southpaw, so we'll be fighting a southpaw. But after that, no, it's just open. It's just you know what I mean. You both.
Just a free for
yeah.
all.
And it's not. No one's pulling no punches or anything. It's hard sparring. So
What's it like when you're in camp with those guys? Is it all business, or is there a sense of camaraderie afterwards? Or is it all just in and out?
No, you get to know him. You train with him. Obviously, Artur don't really speak much English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I first went there, he speaks predominantly Russian. So you have you say I'm gonna have banter with him, but I don't speak Russian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you get to know him, they're cool, that everyone's on a level, you know what I mean, the respect's there, you know what I mean, and you get to know him, and it's, you know what I mean, after it's you know, everyone's gentlemanly about it. You know, when it's time for training, you know, you're training there, you know, you're doing your job, you're there to do a job, you know what I mean, they're paying you to do a job, so, you know what I mean, but it's all good, you know, they treat you well and everything, so.
Awesome, man.
Nice. All right, last one.
Also, it steps your game up, you know, inadvertently, massively, without even knowing it, because you have to raise your game.
Yeah.
You have to raise your game. You're not here now. You know what I mean. You're top tier level, so it raises your game.
Yeah.
When I came back, I mean, I was British champion at the time, but it raises your game massively.
That's where you've got to be in it, especially as a fighter.
Yeah.
You get too comfortable.
No.
And then you're not learning. You've always got to remember
levels.
even when I was sparring.
There's levels.
When I was a kid, you've always got to. We went all over the country to spar, but we were always sparring people that were levels above us or at least equal. Do you know what I mean? Just to keep pushing you, otherwise you just get far too comfortable.
Yeah. Is that when you realise what level you can be at? When you
Yeah.
start sparring
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
you can hold your own.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where you can.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna I'll hit you with the last question. So it's the laid out show, yeah. So you have to pick one
The
celebrity.
laid out show.
Yeah, one celebrity you want to lay out.
One celebrity.
Well, it can be anyone. Yeah.
Anyone. Anyone. I can think of a few. Right, one celebrity. Who do I dislike? Let me think. Who annoys me on TV now? Who, man? I don't know, man. Someone. You know, I haven't got much hate for people really, but.
That's a good answer, man.
It is a nice
That's
answer.
a good answer.
Yeah. You know what? Some people
No,
think
you
like,
put a boxer like that. I like that answer.
yeah,
That's a
do you
good
know what?
answer.
I'll give you that. I'll let you off. You
Leave it there,
just
yeah.
be a nice guy.
I
All
like
right,
that.
man. Is there any last things you want to say before we wrap up?
No, thanks a lot for having me on, guys, and it's been a pleasure. And you know what I mean. I wish you all the best. And
Yeah, man.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on.
Nice one.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
Thank you. Cheers.